countries across the world, and to ensure that there is indeed a balance in terms of the exchanges, so that they're not just taking away from us, but they are also giving to us, and we are able to trade in equal, in a balanced trade relationship, where what we are giving out is commensurate to what we are getting, and we're actually getting good value for our resources as well as our talents when it comes to export, and that what we are importing is not just for consumption but to help us to scale. So that said, we firmly believe that this approach will help to maximize our economic, social, and environmental impact in the regions that we serve as an office. Our initiatives is actually the support to NASME on this African SME exhibition as we see today. I was glad when the MD of SMEDAN mentioned the pledges of ₦1 billion for women as well as ₦1 billion for the youth. I hope it meant 2 billion and not 1 billion to be shared, because for me, I see this as an opportunity for NASME, not just to hear this announcement, but to actually go right away to SMEDAN and ask, what are the programs that we're going to implement with these funds? Because we must make it happen. Announcements are very, very popular, right? But actual impact, sometimes, not that they don't happen, but I think that we need to have more effort into, to follow through, so that those announcements actually become actuals. So that said, I'm going to delve into my presentation that is just looking at the world that we live today and the inevitable smart future, just to help to encourage the SMEs that we have, that we're not just only going to dwell on commodities alone, but that one of the greatest commodities that we have is, the talent within, and this can be amplified through digital technology. So with that, I would just like to go into my slides. So next slide, please. And this slide is actually supposed to be a video. I think you can play. I can actually just talk through it because the volume is low. Can the volume be higher? Okay. So this is just looking at, the effect of climate change and the fact that the world we live in today, especially in advanced countries, things have gone so way beyond. We can see what industrialization is like, robotics application and everything, where we are still probably doing things at very low and primitive scale. The largest cities that we have in the western part of the world and even China are at such a very high the pace of development is so high and rapid that we have a lot to catch up on as Africa. And the quicker we start to do that, the better for us, right? We have to look at how we're going to get pretty much hone the future possibilities that there are through technology. So if we go on to the next slide, because the video volume isn't playing, we know that fundamentally in Africa, the question that is always asked when we're talking about artificial intelligence, machine learning, augmented reality is, is this supposed to be right? When it comes to artificial intelligence, a typical example is the ChatGPT. And people will be like, this is plagiarism. You're not using your own talent to write something. Why are you using, AI-aided tools to do a write-up? But if you actually look critically now, anybody that has Google, the Gmail, when you want to actually write your email, Google is actually suggesting to you that it can help you to write it. So this is what we call the inevitable smart future. It's inevitable. You have to embrace it. And the faster you embrace it, the better. Because there were the days when we used to write letters and go to the post office and mail it. And people that will use electronic mail, it seemed, what are they doing? Do you understand? This computer thing. I mean, there were people that even felt that computer was like 666 or the devil, right? And today, everybody's got a smartphone in their hand. Everybody is using email. Everybody will inevitably use AI tools, right? So let's not make the mistake of the past. The quicker we start to embrace these things, the better. And the beauty of it is that they can actually help us in the businesses that we do to be able to accelerate the scale that we need to achieve. So when, we come to these conversations around artificial intelligence, people always sacrificing privacy and personal freedoms, especially when it comes to putting your information out there. There are people that are not using social media because they feel, you're putting your information out there, and to be really cool, you shouldn't put your information out there. But this is what the world is doing today, right? And if you do not want to be kind of like left behind, I think you have to join it, but you have to also know that there's modesty that exists in the digital world, and you need to learn that and read. But do not say that because you do not have the right understanding of what the digital world is, you will not use the tool. I think the onus lies on each and every one of us to learn how to use digital tools adequately and ensure that we're using it to improve our business, and not just for social purposes, but to drive, growth in our businesses. Next slide, please. So one of the things that I believe very much is this quote by Scott Fitzgerald that says that the test of a first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposed ideas in mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function. So on the one hand, you'll be thinking, should I do this? Is it right? All this AI thing, right? On the other hand, you know that you need is true intelligence, where you are using it judiciously to achieve what you need it to achieve. Some people have tools in their hands that they use to just browse about other people's lives on a daily basis. While that same tool, you would hear a young 16-year-old is a TikToker that is making probably $100,000 in a year. So what is the difference? One person is using it as a tool. The other person is using it as a means to an end for entertainment. So you have to look at the digital tools that you have today and choose on what side of that digital tool's benefit you want to be. Is it going to be as entertainment? And for SMEs, I say there are so many things to learn with these tools. If you're on Instagram, Instagram is your global market, right? If you're on TikTok, TikTok is your advertising tool. It's coming to you free of charge. So you should use these things to enhance your business rather than to get into the frivolities of just using it to entertain yourselves. Next slide, please. So we have smart cities. The cities are going to continuously become smarter and smarter. Lagos is getting there, but albeit we still rank very low in the cadre of smart cities ranking. But a few cities in Africa are actually emerging smart cities, and we have Ghana. In Ghana, you have the Hope City, which is we have the tallest building or not. For me, when we're talking about smart cities, probably I would say Ghana should also focus for this to be a hub that is, grabbing all the youth and the energy that they have to generate, income and, economic growth for not just Ghana, but for Africa as a whole. We have Kenya, we have one. I think one of the biggest ones that we have are the Waterfall City in South Africa, and then in Rwanda, the Vision City. We have Eco Atlantic coming up, which is the coastal city. We see everything that is happening, and it's actually earmarked to be a smart city. What does that mean? There are going to be needs. These cities have to be serviced. These cities are going to require things, and the people that are going to be providing those things are seated in this room. So we have to start looking, because when we say something is inevitable, whether we like it or not, it's going to happen. And these are the opportunities. This is what morphs into opportunities for businesses. And when you see people saying, oh, that guy had foresight or he saw it coming, it's because they are keyed into things like this. And I believe that when we gather together like this as SMEs, we have to tell ourselves these things so that everybody starts thinking, what's going to be the best thing for me to do using the tools that I currently have, or what technology or innovation should I seek to ensure that I'm a big player in tomorrow? Because tomorrow, every day is a game changer because of technology, and you want to ensure that your business and what you're doing continues to be relevant. for every business, match the future every day, right, based on your initial blueprint. So it doesn't have to be your original plan. You just have to move with the markets to ensure that you're going to have growth. So when we look at the startup opportunities and investment trends in Africa today, we see a lot of people going into these tech opportunities, and they're using the Internet of Things devices, sensors, to facilitate real-time data collection and analysis. The world is going to go, pretty much everything when it comes to a city being smart or a smart living is going to depend on big data. There may be data that you have and you may not think it is relevant, but you need to collect that data because it's going to become value for someone. If you know that you can decide to go to, we're in Abuja now, you can decide to go to probably Gwagwalada and go and check out how many buses come to the bus stop at every hour, right? And start to collect data. That data becomes something that is tradable because the future and everything that is being done is dependent on data. So when you hear today that, the highest earners when it comes to new jobs are data analysts, this is the reason. They are analyzing data, but who's collecting the data that they are analyzing? And data comes in all forms. So you can sit here today and actually go online on your phone and find out, how do I start collecting data and what data is going to be relevant? And that may be the business that you go out of this place with today. In a year's time, you'd be amazed that people that are requiring your data are even companies that are abroad, but they see value in what you are collecting, and you become a supplier of data to these people. They will train you, and the opportunities are vast. I know there are two guys that started a business a few years ago, and what did they start doing? They would go to hospitals, and based on the blood tests that people are doing, they are actually collecting the blood types, right, for individuals. I think without names, just we have X number of O positive, B positive, AAAS, and there are so many research institutes that are buying that data today. They have actually gone very, very big. Their business is worth over $1 million today, all because that data that they have collected is important for research purposes, to be able to see how drugs and everything can be, made fit for purpose for Africans. Because a lot of the research institutes that are churning out the medication we take today, most of their data is based on data collected in the Western world, but not in Africa. So how do they ensure that the drugs are potent enough for Africans? Data. So data is convenience. For the markets to come to the individuals, what is required? Somebody has to take products from one point to the other. There may be 100 delivery services that but if you start your own delivery service today and you have your own unique structure for it, it will thrive. Why? Because the market is totally unsaturated, and there will be more and more people needing delivery service. The earlier you enter into it, the better. Because when you are in it, you'll be able to understand the market dynamics, and you'll be able to say, I want to shape my own this way. Somebody can decide, I want to do deliveries to only women in Puda, because I want my delivery people to be females. We do not want to disrespect religious nuances. And you discover that you have a big market, right? Some people can decide, I want to deliver only baby food. I want to deliver pharmaceutical drugs, because there are patients that are in their homes. They are too sick to go to the pharmacy, but they need medication. How do you start? So you start to look at how do we live, what are we doing, and what are the businesses that are available to be done by leveraging technology. Energy networks. We know that on-grid energy for Nigeria today is one of the things that is probably crippling our economy, because we do not have the capacity to deliver the energy that we need. Why is that? Even if these services are going to be needed. We have advanced healthcare systems, leveraging telemedicine, emerging technologies such as wearable devices. Just this morning I was reading that handhelds are going to have to be smaller. And you have to start thinking about these things, because these are what I call the inevitables. And we have to get into that pace of thinking fast to take up the opportunities that are coming to us, right? So with technology, you have Tanzania doing, this lock and tag tech with, if they are, because of diesel and crude oil theft, as well as any form of fuels, they actually use RFIDs to provide, securities can be provided through RFID technology. Who are those doing RFID tags today, and offering this solution in the oil and gas space? That's a big opportunity. For the Lagos, we know the toll gates, the popular one in Lagos, the e-toll, that generated a lot of revenue for Lagos State. And we also have IoT-based solutions for waste management, and then we have one of our very own Nigerians using, data analytics and IoT for transportation. Transportation is also very key. With the cost of fuel today and the cost of diesel, people would subscribe to other forms of transportation, and we see the growth in electronic vehicles coming up pretty much, and this is also an ecosystem of EVs that would, it's also inevitable. It will happen. But who is deciding today how? Somebody has to decide today, how can I be a big player in the EV ecosystem? They will use cables and all that. And I will take an example in telecoms business. We have telephones, but probably the people locally in Nigeria that have benefited most from telephone business are those selling recharge cables. Because almost every day, I'm sure 1 million people will buy new recharge cables. The money that is being spent on recharge, on the charging cables, is probably even more than the money spent on device. Because you might buy your device and use it for 5 years, but in that 5 years, you'll buy maybe recharge cable 100 times, right? So that whole turnaround, you have to start thinking, what are the dependencies in this particular new technology that has come? If we're going to have electronic vehicles, there has to be all the cords that will be plugging the car or the bike to the charger. There has to be batteries. If the batteries get spoiled, who's going to fix it? Who's going to sell the cable? Who's going to, there's so many things that can happen. And that's why for me, every time I'm with SMEs, I'm always saying, it's not just about selling shea butter. It's not just about selling corn. It's not just about exporting fish to the US and the EU. There's so many other things that we can do. Because to be very honest, these are also things that you can do that would command a whole lot of forex, and we can improve Nigeria, because the power lies in this room to actually change the dynamics of what is going on. So when we look at global smart cities, we rank very low. Lagos, Abuja even ranks higher than Lagos, but we see that, countries like Singapore, Zurich, Oslo, or cities like Singapore, Zurich, Oslo, Taipei, have very high ranking, and this is as of 2021. They have AAA ranking and all that. You have new cities that are coming up and also ranking AAA. Our own smart city rank, is quite low, and we're not even, getting there yet. This is a big opportunity. So when you see things like this, it's not to discourage us. It is to say what exactly makes Nigeria, one Nigerian city, not rank as high, and what do we have to do? There are things that you can't do alone. There are things that you have to do in collaboration. And there are things that we can also leverage, either our regional collaboration or collaboration on the continental level, to say, let's pick a few cities that we can interconnect and help them to, to scale them up to be smart cities. Next slide, please. And what do we mean by smart cities? Pretty much umbrella term, various components such as smart mobility, smart building, smart today. In Africa, everything is geared towards being smart. So all the new infrastructure coming on board are going to be smart. When you have that, how do we then integrate existing infrastructure to this new infrastructure is also an opportunity space for SMEs. Next slide is, please. We see from intelligent shopping, Internet of Things, smart health, public safety, traffic management, even education. We have a lot of people now that are giving lessons over Zoom and all that. We need to see more of that happening, because the education of the future is going to be pretty much smart education, where nobody is going to go into probably a building and they don't have to learn within a fixed time. You can have kids here that are attending school in America and doing an American curriculum, because with the internet and with technology, everything is merging into one. We have our buildings as well that inevitably be smart, using incorporating ICT pretty much. So we already have smart alerts. We have people that have remote controlled garages. We have alarm systems and siren. We have security, right? For countries that are cold, we have African countries that are very hot and very cold. There will be temperature control in the new homes. Some of these things, keyless entry, some of these things are already being subscribed to. Some of these things are things that you can learn to install for people, right? And these are also great opportunities to enhance, safety, security, reduce energy consumption. Actually, the reduction of energy consumption is going to be key for Africa. Energy efficiency solutions in whatever form is going to be key. And, improving just the quality of living in itself is something that is subscribed to. So I always say something about products and about SMEs when you're looking at designing your product or your service. People don't buy a particular product. Human beings have basic needs, and they seek to satisfy basic needs. So when you're looking at smart shopping, for example, it's convenience that you're selling, right? And when you want to design a product, you have to think along those lines. What is going to make life easier for this person? And there, within that thought process, you find different products that would come to play that will become the convenience that that person is seeking. So for smart buildings, that's fine. We also have opportunities in smart infrastructure, like smart grids, water management, and even healthcare infrastructure. We will have tomorrow, people would not need to go to hospitals. You will just have to dial the number, and you'll be teleguided, probably through programmed robots, on what to do, what medication to take, and they would have to manage your health care. So what exactly does that now mean? People would need to buy medication. Everything will probably be through a particular system, but who are going to be the players in that system to provide medication? Now, there will now be people that will automatically be prompted to get to a hospital facility. Ambulances are going to be very key, right? Right now, today, as we speak, we don't even have enough ambulances for the hospital that we have. But when things become like this, you realize that probably the whole idea of Uber ambulance becomes a fantastic idea, and people can actually call an ambulance to get them from their house to the hospital and vice versa. That becomes a business opportunity for someone. You can create the tech platform, and people that already have ambulances, rather than park them in front of the hospitals as decoration, they can be on this platform, and anybody, you democratize the ambulances in the healthcare system. Fantastic business opportunity. Anybody can take it up. Next slide, please. And then, of course, I've talked about this in terms of the grid and energy management. So many opportunities. The meters we have today are expensive. Who's going to make cheaper meters? And how are we going to create avenues to pay for electricity and our basic utilities using mobile devices? There's an opportunity in that. Next slide, please. Transportation as well, optimizing traffic management, just getting to decongest, avoiding traffic congestion is convenience. This is how do I ensure that somebody moves from point A to B in a very convenient manner. If people have to walk, how do they walk faster? Next slide. And e-mobility, e-vehicle infrastructure are solutions to that. So EV charging infrastructure is a big area for SMEs to start to look into. We have developing EV fleet management platforms. We can have ambulances that are running on batteries to reduce costs, but also available as a fleet to subscribers. right? You can have pharmacy in a box or pharmacy on wheels, and the pharmacy does not have to be in one place. It can be somebody, you dial a number and, the medication would come to you, from a very, well secured pharmaceutical stuff. So on mobility, this was just an example I gave. It's just AI powered shoes, where you have shoes that make you walk 2 times as fast. And those are solutions that are being deployed in China and in other places that probably are also useful today, because you may be able to buy these shoes and you don't need a car, right? And it also helps, to improve health. It reduces congestion, it lowers emission, it improves accessibility, and these are the things that, have high sustainability scores. So they are inevitable. When you create businesses like this, they are to scale, but, if well adapted to societal needs. Next slide, please. Next slide. So the challenge, and the cities are going to be smart, but it also comes with challenges. And for me, when I talk about challenges, I also tell people that when you see a challenge slide or somebody talking about challenges, please can you give it the full screen? Yes, it's also an opportunity, because within challenges, solutions to challenges are always the opportunities that you have. So the rate of knowledge assimilation threatens our cities being smart, because they're going to think, who is going to teach everybody how? Right now we have a problem. We have over 20 million people that are old that do not know how to use phones. Somebody has to start creating a way to reach these old people so that they can use phones, because it is inevitable. They need it. They will need it to do their financial transactions. They will need it. Who is going to create the phone that has just the basic need for everybody, that an old person can have just probably 5 buttons, and once they press it, it is doing what is required? It is going to be needed, and we need people that will help in upskilling for knowledge. We need people. So there's also the dilemma of service provision, which is like, and that has to do with the big companies are going to see these opportunities. Like MTN will see this opportunity and create something. And that, as a challenge for me, is also a challenge to the SMEs. So if we see this, we have to think in this frame where before MTN creates another solution, yet somebody, an SME or a group of guys, can actually come create that solution, right, through innovation and sell it to the public instead. But what do we see happen in Africa? It's actually our big organizations that also see these needs. They fund it, and they are the ones making the gains. But SMEs today have to be woke. We have to take on these opportunities and don't take it on like a one-man business, but look to collaborate and deliver. We have infrastructure developments. The backbone for these smart cities requires infrastructure. Who is going to put this infrastructure in place? We have RFID chips would need to be supplied and programmed. Who's going to start bringing in the RFID chips so that when somebody wants to do a local solution, they don't have to be waiting for RFID chips from China. There would be somebody that's already doing that and will say, we can create it for you and you can get it delivered. Complimentary card to, QR codes, just scan it and you have my contact. There's a young guy, he's Nigerian, he's based out of Dubai. He started to do this like a few years ago, and he was charging it at 50,000 naira a pop. Only, today I discovered I can actually generate QR code myself, but be that as it may, people like convenience. So you can still learn how to generate complimentary cards on QR codes, and people will pay you 5,000 or 10,000 naira, and a lot of people will come to you for that, and you will generate it for them. It's business. After doing for complimentary cards, you can do for brochures, you can do for so many other things. But you learn it, and the knowledge to do this thing is actually on your device. So probably now, when you hold your device and you're on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook, dedicate 30 minutes to learn something from it that is available to you for free, and use that to become, the new business that you are doing. For people that are in rural areas that have products, open an Instagram account, take pictures of your products and keep it there, put your phone number. Somebody will call you, definitely, right? Or you can help other people. You can decide, anytime I go to the village, I will take products that are being sold by 20 women in the market, and I will make sure I put this on my Instagram so that people will see and patronize these women. That is how we can help society, utilizing technology. So next slide, please. And so in this whole ecosystem, looking at digitalization, the digital economy, SMEs, the value, one critical institution that we require to participate more is the academia. We need the university, because we're talking about industry, right? We constitute the industry. We need government regulations, which is already available. We have the Startup Act. We have so many things that are in SMEs today, right? Even the new Electrification Act is also an opportunity for SMEs, because the states will have to generate and distribute their own power. And how do they navigate from generation to distribution and making gains? Somebody in this room can come up with a solution for a couple of states and deploy. We also need the universities. We need our research institutions, because for each solution that is available, iteration and future proofing of those solutions is key, and that is informed by research. A lot of times we do not leverage our institutions enough. We need to leverage and empower our universities to ensure that they are funded for research that will inform the solutions. And my last slide is pretty much what UNIDO is doing in terms of digital transformation and diversity. We're pushing this and integrating diversity into innovation. We want women to be included in the innovation space. We promote women in clean tech. We're promoting women in cybersecurity and women in data analytics, pretty much the clean technology. And we're also ensuring that whichever female business or female-focused business we promote, we are also trying to see that they get funded. Next slide. Our activities, I've mentioned digital transformation, amplifying efficiency and sustainability. UNIDO is looking to skills and capacity building to empower digital competence in Nigeria as well. We're looking at creating and supporting innovation ecosystems to catalyze innovative collaboration. Next slide, please. We're also fostering partnerships of investments, infrastructure that will fuel transformation across value chains, regional and continent-wide. And we're also helping to advocate for good governance to ensure technologies are democratized and we can have access to them. We're in talks with China that is open to exposing African SMEs to a few technologies that they are currently utilizing. And we're hoping to get at least about 30 women in 2024 to China to be trained on specific technologies that have to do with long duration energy storage, and they can come back to Nigeria and deploy that as services, because one of the things that is also inevitable that I've not mentioned is that we all depend on batteries. When your battery is low, you are sad. When you have full battery, you are happy. When your phone battery is very low, you are worried, you are sad, you are apprehensive. And there's a lot of solution in that space that is coming, and we're hoping that we can actually mainstream women into this technology to make sure that they are providing it. So our impact and future outlook and the role we play is just providing help and support to governments on establishing technology transfer like we're doing, and to promoting latest and advanced technologies in developing countries. We offer technical assistance in advancing regional industrialization through technical assistance and industrial cooperation. We work a lot in capacity building, and we facilitate investments. So like I said earlier, we have a network of 10 offices. Nigeria is the only one in Africa, but we have in Italy, Bahrain, Beijing, Germany, Tokyo, Moscow, Korea, and Shanghai. And I think we have 2 in Germany now. So we have 1 in Bonn and 1 in Berlin. So I think this brings me to the end of my slide, and I hope that you have listened and you are going to take up the opportunities that I've mentioned. Thank you.
One more time, shall we please give her a resounding round of applause? Madam came well prepared. She had her presentation. She didn't just read through the presentation, but she spoke to the presentation. One more time, shall we please give her a befitting round of applause? Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I shall welcome some persons to join us on this other end of the divide. They will be treating very important subjects. And so allow me to welcome first at this time Dr. Akiwande Ademosu, President, Finance Houses Association and CEO, Bravewood Finance Limited, Sterling Bank and Alternative Bank. I welcome you. Shall we please put our hands together for him? And of course, to help moderate this session, let me welcome our moderator. From Sterling One Foundation, I'd like to welcome Ms. Olapeju. It'd be great to please step forward and join on this other end of the divide. I was supposed to welcome the moderator first, but please forgive me. And also to join us at this time, I'd like to welcome from the Bank of Industries, I'd like to welcome Mr. Obarosa to please join us on this other end of the divide. And also to be part of this very wonderful session, I'd like to welcome the Head of Division Private Sector ECOWAS. I welcome Dr. Enobong Umwesen to please join us on this other end of the divide. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, just a moment ago, or less than what you refer to as a moment, we've heard her done justice to her presentation. May I therefore find the honor again to welcome the head of UNIDO ITPO Nigeria. I'd like to welcome Ms. Abimbola Olufere to please join us again. Shall we please give her a round of applause? Just request for 30 seconds. Let me check my mics correctly.
Thank you very much. I just want to confirm my panelists, my distinguished panelists. Do you have your microphones? Okay, so I think we'll make do with this. Okay. Thank you. So we're going to be discussing the challenges in technology and renewables in Nigeria today. And I know before we came up, I would like to thank our partner, the head of UNIDO ITPO. She had mentioned she had us to start with her so that we can spare her to attend to state matters. And my question to you, Ma, is that how does Nigeria's large and youthful demographic opportunity present for the tech and renewable sectors?
Thank you very much. Thank you for that question. I think I'm just going to draw from the presentation that I just made about the vast potential. Our richest asset in Nigeria is our youth. And because this is a summit that's focused on West Africa, I'm going to also say that West Africa is blessed with the youth population. It's actually, somebody said that the dividend of what our ancestors have done is the youth population that we have, because in the numbers is vast, and we're not just large in numbers. When you look across Africa, our youth are very, very creative. They are talented. And when put in climes that are enabling, they do extremely well. They come out top. So what then do we see as an opportunity for us? What is lacking for the young people we have here in Nigeria as well as Africa is that environment for them to thrive. If we collaboratively with government, private sector, academia can create that enabling environment, Africa will do extremely well. So when it comes to the renewable energy space, when it comes to renewable energy, we're looking at what can be done, what alternatives are there for 15 to 20 years. Can we successfully lift our feet off fossil fuel today and, depend mainly on renewables? Probably not. But one of the things that we see as very, very key is how to structure our energy dependence in such a way that when we channel our youth opportunities, when we use it to kind of like harness energy in the renewable space, we can then leave probably the grid to power our industries. Now we have technologies from solar boxes to hydropower to leaky because of our intermittent access or availability of electricity. So when we have a lot of youth, we have computer village, in so many cities. If you go to Accra, you'll find one. Come to Lagos, in Abuja, you'll find one. And I know this is true for the rest of Africa, where we have our youth working, different tools, different mechanisms to provide solution. What we then need to do is create this environment where we are deliberately channeling their energies and we are upskilling them to deliver into, for Nigeria, providing energy, making sure there is access to energy and that energy is affordable. We can use our youth to do that. And for the other parts of Africa, we can get like a collaborative platform for youth to just sit down and look at all the different value chains. Because when it comes to renewable energy, we see, a nexus of renewable energy with agriculture, aviation, healthcare, so many things that, it can power. And we can train and upskill our youth to help this for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's put our hands together for her. There was something that came through in your comment, which was the power of collaboration for us to be able to create the right environment for our youth. I think please let's put our hands together for her as we let her go. Thank you. And I would like to welcome Madam Bolanle Tyson from Sterling Bank. Please join us. Thank you. So on that note on collaboration, the next question will go to our colleague from Bank of Industry. In the tech and renewable energy space, what kind of funding can SMEs access from the Bank of Industry? Do we have single-digit interest rate funding available today, and what do they need to do to be able to access these funds?
Thank you very much. For Bank of Industry, some years back, we realized the need to protect the environment and also create alternative energy sources for customers. So this is about 10 years now. We created a renewable desk, offering alternatives to source energy for businesses and households. And then we collaborated with some international agencies. We did a pioneer test, about five cities, 5 villages in each of the 6 villages, in each of the 6 geopolitical zones. And what we pioneered then was solar power, And thank God we took the initiative in 2014, 2015. We went to villages where there is no energy at all. We identified stark villages where there's no connection to national grid. And we said we needed to demonstrate that we can actually create alternative power so that the children of those communities can actually see life for the first time. And we did it across the federation that alternative power can actually work in Nigeria. Because even though we funded those projects, initially as a CSR project, but we were able to run economy around it that it's actually possible. Thank God, people we work with today have now pioneered and grown that business to a very big business where they can now provide energy alternative at using a business case to run it. So businesses in Lagos today who now have alternative power source were those people who we recruited and used as guinea pig to pilot those schemes in those villages at that time. So essentially, we cannot as a country, we cannot as a people and businesses only think of fossil fuel as alternative to running our businesses. We are blessed with several alternatives. For instance, solar power. The whole of northern Nigeria have a high level of heat, which can be conserved, preserved, and used to drive businesses. Apart from the Nigeria data environment use gas and coal, the alternative that can be used, we have water, we have wind. All this can be converted to energy sources. And of course, the growth of EVs means that batteries are going to drive the future generation of enterprises. So what we've done is that we have a unit who can provide funding for you at cheaper terms, make it flexible for you to take that facility and repay the facility within 5 to 6 years. That makes it very, very comfortable and convenient for you to repay the facility. Okay? We're also working with other agencies to drive home this issue of alternative energy. And we're also very strong on environment. So most of the business we do today in funding, we insist that you must have that consciousness to be environmentally friendly and have an ESG culture in your operations, because that's what drives it, to protect the environment and protect our future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So if I would give a follow-on question to that. So for SMEs that are watching you awesome online that are here that want to access these funds now, what do they do next? Like, what should be their next step? Where do they go?
We have branches across the federation. We have 32 state offices across the federation. There is virtually no state in Nigeria where there's no BI operation. So you can visit any of our state offices. But essentially, our requirements are very simple. We do not give facilities to individuals. So you must have a registered business. You must have a cash projection, a business plan. You need to do a formal application. We also need to visit where you are doing business and see what you want to do and establish a business case. And then we can give you funding for what you want to do within a very good short time, turnaround time period. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, sir. Let's put our hands together for him. Thank you, sir. Still on the subject of funding. So I've had the opportunity to speak to a number of SMEs before this panel, and access to funding has been a recurring issue, a recurring challenge in the technology and renewable sectors in Nigeria. I got to know that Sterling Bank noted that there's a solution that provides free banking for SMEs. I would like to confirm this solution, and does it also include SMEs in the technology and renewables sectors in Nigeria? 1. 2, what funding options exist for these SMEs? And you may speak to SMEs in the technology and renewable sectors and SMEs generally. And that question is to Madam Bolanle.
Thank you very much for that question. Yes, so we do have a product which we call the Business Support Facility. Now, the Business Support Facility is one of our lending products targeted at SMEs who are perhaps in the fast-moving consumer business, trade, hospitality, and certain sectors. What we typically do is that it has unsecured, you have up to 5 million naira unsecured loan access. However, just like the gentleman from BOI also mentioned, you have to be a structured business. You have to have your registration intact so that we'll be able to do that analysis to help you with your working capital or stock financing. So that's in the general aspect. Now, what we've also done is that in the free banking aspect, for those businesses who aren't registered, we also provide support services, business structuring support services, where we're able to help you process your business registration and get all of your documentation that you require for account opening. What that comes with automatically is a business account with 0 AMF for the first 3 years, because we're seeing it as a way to also support small businesses and ensure that they are starting in the right foot and they are better positioned for access to finance, because a lot of these things are as a result of not having separated accounting entries from your personal accounts. So you need to be very much structured to have that positioning to access this support facility. Aside from that, in the renewable energy space, we also have a team, a renewable energy team that also can help you, sort of give you funding to support that. We also have platforms that you can also showcase, you can onboard perhaps as a partner to showcase what you do in the renewable energy space. So perhaps maybe you have solar panels or inverters, you can easily subscribe to that. And what that means is that we're also giving you access to markets, access to visibility. Aside from that, what we also did with the business registration, which I didn't mention, is that the fee is actually discounted, because what you get from it is, of course, your CSC registration documents, you get your tax identification number, free business 0 AMF account for the first 3 years, and a whole lot more opportunities with the business support tools that we also have on the business, which includes things like invoicing tools, even social media. You can actually get all of those tools, social media marketing tools and everything. And they are all for prices that have been discounted, because our forward is that we want to support small businesses in this economy by helping them subsidize as possible to get on their feet past that 3 years, sort of like a proof of concept stage, and help them stabilize, position better for access to finance and expansion as well.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you.
So I imagine that some of these businesses are above 3 years. Those of us that are above 3 years, what do you have for us?
So for those who are above 3 years, they automatically qualify for all of these kind of services, like the business support facility, as well as even the business support tools. We are not even going to hold that back. Business support tools is not only for those who are not yet registered. Even for those who are above 3 years, they still have access to all of these tools, discounted. Even logistics is also included in this as well, for those who need to sort of, get services like that.
Thank you very much, Madam Bolanle. And then my next question goes to our president of finance houses. And the question is, how does, first, are there, beyond banks, the Sterling Bank, Bank of Industry, are there other opportunities for SMEs in the country to access support? Now, not just financial support, but also non-financial support within your sphere of influence. That's one. And I think I should allow you to answer that first before I go to the next one.
Okay, thank you for the question. Good afternoon, everyone. So, are there other opportunities for support? In just basic analysis, we'll know that the major challenge with most of our SMEs, the key challenge is finance. But getting to finance, you also need the basic knowledge of how to make yourself bankable or loanable. When you strip down and deconstruct the major problems that made credit to be extremely rationed for MSME, you see that there are two key elements there: information asymmetry and the perception of risk. And these things can be solved for. Information asymmetry is all about the fact that there's always a distorted, position in a business. An SME sold now, and someone brought a product, or a customer visits, or a friend is in the place, and they just pick money from their till and they spend it, or they immediately buy and restock without passing their process through the financial system that recognize their actual worth and value. So part of what we do is that financial education. At all, platforms, we've encouraged our partners, our members, to ensure that when you build your platform, you also put in there financial education to ensure that the problem of information asymmetry or inconsistent information about a business is reduced to the barest minimum. The other one is the perception of risk, and we know where that is coming from. It's about key man risk. It's about the fact that the business is not structured. There's no financial statements. There's nothing. So for us to remove riskiness, we have to also, I'll use the word deconstruct, the elements that the traditional financial institutions were using to assess viability of an SME business, to now start looking for alternative data, different data sources to revalidate, because 5 C's of credit is so ridiculous and it doesn't make sense. Who wants to borrow with collateral today? Traditional institutions will always demand that, but we want to see the trend and how we can stratify an SME business and make it viable enough, reduce the quotient of riskiness, and also ensure that information is better packaged. So there are opportunities, and we're working extremely collectively together.
Fantastic. For SMEs that want to access these opportunities, how do they go about it?
Okay, very good question. Of course, we're still going to continue to depend on the motherhood of the traditional financial institutions. So, she just said something about the fact that you have to ensure you register your business. You also must ensure that you open a bank account and start to cultivate the discipline of, no matter how little, pass your transaction through your financial, statements. Good to know most of financial institutions today have the tools for you to actually key in key elements. You can see how you're doing on your financial, performance. So that is there. So, we are present all over. So we have different finance companies, but we are registered, regulated, duly recognized financial institutions, and is published on the CBN platform. You can access any of our members, and you can also just get to our platform, FHAN, platform, and pick anyone. You can see the pricing. You can do your comparison and know which one is friendly for you. So it's all about downloading, clicking, and applying through the platform. Most of the things that you're doing today, they are digitized. And also, some of us also combine, having people on the field to work with SMEs in the market. And I know a lot of our SMEs actually prefer to, to transact, especially when it comes to access to funding, because we are closer to them. And we feel the pain because we're also SMEs. That's also who we are. Not as big as traditional. So we understand our pains and we know how to take care of it.
Thank you very much, sir. I think this next question goes to Dr. Enobong, and here we would like to get the regional perspective. And the question is, what infrastructure deficits in Nigeria and West Africa most hinder technological and renewable energy advancements? What solutions do we have as at today for them?
Thank you very much for the question. The infrastructural deficit. Incidentally, West Africa is so located that almost everything that we need in nature is available. From the in terms of climate, from the rainforest in the south, a lot of water, green economy, to the savanna in the middle, and all the way to the deserts. But like you've noted, the challenge unlocking the value of development is anchored on creating the infrastructure for human beings to leverage these God-given opportunities. Let me start with roads, for example. Many of our citizens, many of our youths, many of our populations are located in the hinterland. We have the capitals, but a lot of people are still located in the rural areas. Most of what we feed, on the average, the roads infrastructure is very poor. That has to be upped. The energy infrastructure, I would say, is central. We have the youths, we have the older generation, we have the generation that are even younger than the youths. But without energy, there is no way you can factor or do anything. Whether it's renewable, whether it's thermal, whether it's regular energy, you need this energy to be able to unlock your potential. If you are in the cities, for example, and you don't have light at all, there's no way you can begin to imagine or to begin to dream or to begin to practice what you have learned, whether in school or anywhere. So energy infrastructure, I would say, is key. And then internet infrastructure. When the madam from ITPO was making the presentation, we talked about staying in your house and still making money through the internet. With internet infrastructure, telecommunications, ability to use the phone, you do not need to leave your environment. You can stay at home and get jobs. You can stay at home and do jobs. You can stay at home and deliver services across the borders and still be able to make money and survive. So within on a regional scale, we at the Commission have tried to leverage the energy of the population that we have and the diversities in the cultures. In 2021, we organized a startups forum. We have a startups program. And the idea within this program is to encourage the young generation to leverage technology to scale businesses, to encourage member states to think of improving technology, improving IT, improving telecommunications, so that the youths of this generation, wherever they are, can be able to do business without having to leave their homes. Now, we also have an energy master plan that seeks to connect energy from across the 15 states of ECOWAS. For example, we have the West African Power Pool that takes energy from Nigeria, crossing the border to Benin, to Ghana, all the way. The idea is wherever you have an energy deficit in one country or the other, the surplus in the other country can be transferred to their country so they can leverage that and maintain stability. Because without stability in energy, there's no way you can have a good business. The IT, we have a technology master plan also, communications master plan, that seeks to ensure the connection of fiber optic wires all the way from Europe down the western coast down to South Africa, so that they can then be siphoned into the member states. The idea again is to be able to connect to the global telecommunication platform, so that our population, wherever they are, can create business, can connect with the global energy system, global telecommunication platforms, and work for different companies. You can stay in Nigeria and do business for Harrods. You can stay in Nigeria and do business for China. So these programs are in place. Now we also have we have the bank in Togo that has a major program to finance telecommunications, finance energy, finance programs, specifically focused for the youth and focused for the diversities of the population in Africa. So I think that the major infrastructure that challenges our development is the IT infrastructure, including telecommunications, roads infrastructure, and the energy infrastructure.
Thank you very much, sir. So you did, as a follow-on question, you mentioned the energy master plan, the telecommunication master plan. And what you said about energy, in view of the fact that the essence was to balance supply and provide supply where there's a deficit, what is the status of this master plan today?
Well, first, starting with the energy master plan, like I said, we have the West African Power Pool program. It's on ground now. It's working. When you have significant, when there was an energy crash in Ghana, the master plan leveraged the energy that was available in Benin and transferred to Ghana. When it happened in Nigeria, through the power pool, it was moved from Ghana to Nigeria. So that power pool is on and is working now. But of course, it's not perfect. It's improved upon every time. Sometimes it's too much, sometimes it's too little. But the power pool is there and it's working. He has an office in Cotonou and it's working. Now the other one was the telecommunication master plan. We also have that telecommunication master plan, and that seeks to create a common so that when you don't need to change SIM cards wherever you go across the region. When you are using an MTN, wherever you go, it can translate to the next platform that is on in the country, and you can use that. So what that means is that it saves you the cost of SIM card, it saves you the cost of internet change, it saves you all the costs that you need, and makes your business effective and efficient.
Fantastic. So I believe that these power plants are being managed by African youth.
Yeah, they are managed by West Africans. I don't know whether I would say youth, but you know, it's an office, and the people are there. It has an office in Benin, has an office in all the countries, and there are people working there. I don't know whether they are of the youth category. They say youth is between 18 and 45 or thereabouts, but I know it's working, and they are human beings, mostly West Africans, working there and managing the energy.
Thank you very much, sir. So for the sake of our time, I'll ask one more question, and that will be to all the panelists. And you can take it first, sir. And the question is, which sectors in Nigeria are most ripe for a digital transformation? And how can technology be leveraged for increased revenue in these sectors?
I would say the distribution sector. Nigeria has a lot of goods on ground, with the challenge of transportation, like I said, and now the challenge of insecurity is making it difficult to move goods from one sector of the country to the other. Now, technology can come in here. I think early this year, we were in Nairobi, I think. Yeah, Nairobi. And we visited a plant. And they use drones to deliver medical supplies. They have a place that is maybe 1/10 of this compound, and they have drones. Medical supplies are packed in parcels, something about that size, and connected to the drones, and the drones are lit up. And they cover 10 to 50 kilometers to deliver those goods. So you don't need to use the roads, and you don't even need to use airplanes. I asked them whether they have that hub in Nigeria. I think they said it's only in one place, in Port Harcourt or so. In other words, what I'm trying to say is that the distribution sector, it can easily tap from the opportunities that are on in technology. And we begin to send, there are many, many suppliers that we can send through drones. And Nigerians, I think drones technology is not very strange to us, if we can provide an enabling environment for the youth to leverage this kind of technology. So I will start by saying the distribution sector can benefit much from technology. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And I think that is distribution combined with health sector. I think, Madam Bolanle, could you please let us know your views on that question?
Okay, so in addition to what he said, I would say education sector, education tech. I think a lot of involvement of technology would help expand that. You see cases where you have your lesson teacher who is, engaging you remotely. It reduces a whole lot of barrier to entry for a lot of people, right? Because there's no case of distance. So I think the education sector. I think the real estate sector is another sector that would be very viable with the introduction of technology. Imagine being able to rent out your space or lease a place through the intervention of technology. There's quite a whole lot to be done within that space where you look at the real estate space, the hospitality space as well, tourism tech, travel tech. Those places are things that when you put a lot of technology in it, at the end of the day, you'll also be generating revenue within the economy. I think those spaces are still very much untapped, and there's a lot of opportunity. And perhaps I can close it with government side as well, because a lot of digitization is required within the government space, where we can easily string in information together. There's that data sharing portal. There's, it helps to improve a whole lot, because when all the channels of your government are fully digitized, it even helps to break barriers even for access to finance, because you then have maybe one particular ID, for example, your national identification number, and all your information, your credit check, everything is linked together. But this can only happen when we actually digitize all of these sectors. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Bolanle. Our colleague from Bank of Industry.
Well, technology is applicable to all industries. But specifically, in addition to what you said, I think for funding requirements, you also need technology. Yes, because how do you mine the data? How do you collect data? How do you assess a customer credit rating? How do you say this man is calling over 10 million? You are using data. That data you can get with technology. Even when you take our bank statements, it's not physical anymore. It will be sent to you through email. And you analyze that, you put that into Excel, you analyze, you take a decision. So technology is also playing a role in aiding decision making. Smart decisions today are based on data. That data is from technology, because technology enables to process a mass of data within a very short space of time and period. So it is very critical. In fact, for me, really, anything you think of doing, anything you think our parents used to do, try and see and think through it, what technology can do to change that process. That old process. Look at the old process and see how you can adapt modern technology to drive that process. Once you do that, you create a bigger space and a bigger market for yourself. And that will generate revenue. And that is how businesses are created. Is to look at the old way, think through it, and see how you can replicate that using technology to run it. And the more of that you do in various subsectors, so health, education, agriculture, technology is all pervasive across industries. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I like that perspective also. From what I hear, everybody here can actually start leveraging technology from today. From your perspective, sir, from the finance house.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate they have to speak last, because what else is left to be said? When it was closing, it just listed everything that needed to be listed. However, it missed out one thing. I don't know if our SMEs are actually struggling with, abuse of regulations like tax payments, government levies, store problems, multiple problems across, government entities as it applies to SMEs. And it's a major problem for us, and what technology, like when you think about blockchain technology, everything is connected from one source to the other, and it solves for so many things. you're changing addresses, you're moving your store, you pay the federal, the local government is coming, the councillor is coming, or the council is coming, the state is coming. Aside from those ones, the touts are coming. Non-registered collectors and all that, non-state actors. There's so many things. But with technology, a lot of these bottlenecks, red taping, bureaucracies can actually be eliminated. Because right on the spot, you have your code, you have your number. And then, in most of the advanced countries now, the moment you register your business, whether you're registering an enterprise or a limited liability or not limited liability, you get a mail instant that says to you, you have a credit number, DON number, this number, so many numbers in different places. And that is to let you know that, see, we're watching you, we're counting you. And then immediately you get that sensitivity that, see, if I need them, I need to start preparing for them. So I believe technology, I agree with everyone, technology cuts across. However, with government applying digitization across the chain of governance, it will make life more easier for us.
Thank you. Please help put your hands together for my distinguished panelists. So we can take one or two questions. I don't know if any of our participants have a question for the panelists, or they spoke so well. Oh, fantastic. Please, can you help pass them the microphone?
Thank you very much. My name is Zulkarnain Abdurrahim, the CEO of Cornain Agri Business and Packaging. My question for the panelists is that, it's okay, my name is Zulkarnain Abdurrahim, CEO of Cornain Agri Business and Packaging. What I've discovered recently is that it's like a lot of emphasis is being placed on technology and innovation. And what I have discovered in our own environment is that there are a lot of opportunities that are there, even in formulating the food that we should eat. So how to improve on agriculture. It's like every attention is being focused, innovation, innovation, innovation. As far as I'm concerned, I stand to be corrected, that even how to process our food, how to store them so that they don't get spoiled easily, how to store them so that we prolong their shelf life, are still form of innovation. So why are we thinking of innovation only on technology? This is my question. I stand to be corrected. Thank you.
Thank you. I think there's one more question.
Yes, let's just have all the questions at once.
Okay, good afternoon. I am Record Ojubeli, Program and IT Officer of Environment and Tourism Support Initiative. So my question is, most of these, we have so many agencies and bodies that do support SMEs, but what plans do we have on ground to also support brain drain in seeing that these technologies are being implemented the right way? Because most times when we talk of innovation, we do sometimes outsource personnel that will carry out those tasks. And then we discover also that they don't really blend with our exact environment. So what plans and programs do we also have to see that there is a balance between the supply of personnel and also the implementation of these innovative ideas? Thank you.
Okay, one more question from here, please. A lady, please.
Thank you very much. I've been asked to take the first question. Well,
greetings to all the panelists. I'm Pascaline Benjamin from Technology Incubation Center a CEO of Pasmawin Food Limited. Since I started, it's just going to a year since I started. I have been receiving a lot of forms to fill for support, for grants. But when you fill those forms and finish, at the end of the day, you will not see any question asked. No. Now, if SMEs actually are to get support, what are the processes and the procedures that we should pass that should enable us to have access to funds? That is one. Then secondly, presently I'm having challenge of staff turnover. The reason is that I am into alternative medicine. I just discovered that as an African, you don't supposed to be sick. If you're sick, then you don't know your environment well. So I go into research on the food and tea that you can take without being sick. And we have practiced this for 5 years. You don't have headache, no fever. Yes, as an African, because we have, in fact, we don't have wheat. All the things you see on the road, people call wheat, they are not wheat. They are all useful plants. So, but the challenge I have is that some of the staff do not want to go into the bush to harvest those wheat with you. They will always say they want to be in the office. So that is why I'm asking. That is my challenge. How can it be handled? Thank you.
Okay, well, let me start with the first question. Let me zero in on the first question as I'm directed by the moderator. The question that our friend there asked was about why technology, when there are many other things. If I understand him well. Well, I think he needs to understand that technology is an enabler, it's a facilitator. Technology on its own is of no use. The television in your house, if you are not interested in the news, is of no use. The Uber that helps you move, if you are not going somewhere, no use. So the purpose of technology is to enable what we already have to become available and more usable. You see, that is why this age is called the knowledge economy, where technology is. It means it's taking, something is known already. So it takes that thing that is known and makes it available to everywhere else. We talked about, I was discussing the value of technology in distribution. Take, for example, medical care. You may not need to go to the hospital anymore. You can sit in your house and be on Zoom with your doctor. That is technology.
That development technology that has been developed here, we encourage the local guys here, the guys that are here, and also find a way to slow down the effect of the brain drain. This is what I'll say to you, an opportunity that you're talking about. Locally, we have resources that we don't know. Out there, they push resources, through your noses, through all the channels, to the point where they sold themselves and they will sell what we're not thinking about your business. But we have not leveraged that enough. And this is what I'll say to you as a young man, guys, Upwork. I guess you know Upwork. Yeah, guys, locally, guys, create your Upwork. Bring those resources together. Bring those brains together. Bring those competencies together. Let us sell it ahead of need. Because the moment a business has a need, it's too late for anybody to do a pitch. You push it to me, I start thinking about it, I start looking at my customer's journey, my customer's problem, and instantly when the problem comes to mind, I immediately know who I'm going to call to start asking them if they can deliver it. I think that will work excellently well. But most of us that are using foreign, resources or capabilities, we're now realizing that it's better for us to indigenize our development, but we don't get to hear so much about the capabilities or capacities that we have locally, and I think you guys have the opportunity to do that. Thank you.
Okay, I will speak to the third question, but one or two comments to the first and second question. Madam, you are not the only one that have that problem. Even the high-tech environments, even in the offices, banks, oil companies, insurance companies, they are having a huge problem of brain drain today. Because all the younger ones, they will call it Japa syndrome. I'm sure you know about it. They are going abroad. So the issue is not only for you because of your business in your locality. It's a global problem. There are a whole lot of movement from Africa. Because if you look at Europe and America, their population, they are aging. Our own is the reverse. 70% are below, 70% of our population are below age 5. Whereas at that end, more than 70% are above 65. So they need the young people to come and run the economy. So they are attracting their younger people to move away. So it's not only you. So don't see it because your nature, your business. No. Even for high-tech businesses, the same challenge. So you don't give up. You continue to push and make your business more attractive. Maybe you enhance your service. Maybe you present in a better way to make it attractive. But you cannot do without it because that's the trend currently in West Africa. Then on technology, Oga, I want to give a very vivid example. Technology, apart from being an enabler, provides solutions to problems. One of the major problems we have in Nigeria is issue of harvest wastage. During harvest period, so you can say tomatoes, you can take onions, you can take pepper, you can take yam. That period, there are a lot of harvest. We cannot preserve them. To solve that wastage problem, you need technology to preserve. You need technology to process from that raw state. So if you take tomatoes, you harvest it as it is, but you have to crush it into a paste. You then preserve the paste. So that during off-harvest season, it's available to run your factory and your production. So technology is, I'm sure you also enjoy technology. You have a phone. You ride on Uber. The clothes you are wearing now, it's not the way they made it in the 60s that are making it today. All the machines have been changed. The manual machine for sewing has been changed. It's all technology driven. Measurement for your clothes now can be done using technology. Everything in the world is actually technology. Your clothes, your shoes, your building, your vehicles, it's all technology. So it is imperative that we should embrace it and apply it to help and better our life. Thank you.
Thank you very much. On that note, please, I'd like you to put your hands together for our panelists as we rise for the group picture.
Let me appeal to the manufacturers who will entertain your question in the next session, please. The next panel section. Sorry, may I request to join for photographing? Thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, while this very amazing, very excellent panel was on, we're joined by the Honorable Commissioner, SME Niger State, to recognize with us on the platform. Elizabeth Shaba, I welcome you. Thank you very much. And before we go to the next presentation, let me excuse these amazing persons off the stage. Thank you very much. You've spoken so well. By the way, I also like to thank Madam from Sterling Bank. Thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, not so far from now, we'll be rounding off for today. But then I'd like to request and Madam from Niger State to please bring good words coming from the government and people of Niger State. I'd like to welcome Honorable Commissioner, MSME, Pioneer Commissioner. I welcome Elizabeth Shaba to please step forward and then give us greetings from Niger State on the behalf of the government and good people of the state. Madam, I welcome you please for goodwill. 60 seconds will be fine.
Good evening, all. Good evening, all. Thank you. Yeah, welcome this evening after the long cracking of your brains. And I feel we've all enjoyed our stay here. I just want to appreciate the organization, the organizers, of this event. The president, the national president of this organization, development partners, all invited guests, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. My goodwill message is just to greet you all and just to tell you, we Niger State were just out of the green event yesterday. And I'm sure you saw it wild. On the program. Niger State is willing to work and to partner with you, sir. And in fact, the governor, or at least his deputy, would have wished to be here. If not that most of the national organizers too that are with us, willing to find out some informations which needed their attention. That's just what kept them off from this event today. But all the same, I come because of the importance of this event. And the governor said, I must come with all our partners on this field. Niger State is willing to partner with any interested partner. Like the youth especially have been encouraged, and you know how our youth are roaming about and are not willing to put in their best for what is coming up in the state or the nation in general. Though I missed the first part of the panel, but all the same, Niger State is willing to work with the youth and the women, and especially farmers. Those that indicated interest in farming, he's interested to give each of them 1 million for starting their own projects, the women and youth especially. Like this, is it waste to wealth? One of the youth constructed a small building using this plastic water. I didn't know. I would have, maybe we snapped, but I would have brought the picture for you to know, and I'm sure most of you know of it. And it is bulletproof. Cost less, with your little amount at least. You wouldn't say until you get millions or whatsoever before you construct your own house. or your own industry. And that youth is engaging most of our own youth very soon. And the governor has even instructed that we are going to build such building in the state, about 100,000 houses, using this water bottle, empty water bottle, that's what we call, is it waste to wealth? I'm sure some have heard of it or have seen. I didn't know I would have gotten myself prepared to bring you some of the things that was made out of our own program we've just finished yesterday. It is still on, actually, because most of them are still around trying to put one or two things together. But I want to tell you, you should feel free in Niger State to come to invest. Like I said, Niger State is a place you should feel at home, you should feel free, and it is saved. Even though some of you might have heard, yes, we have most of these bandit, but all the same, it is secured. We have a lot of protection, and we have a lot of security, at least to keep us safe. So feel at home. Just like I said, it will interest you to know that Niger State hosted Green Economy Summit for 2-3 days. We just finished yesterday. So Niger State very soon will all look green. And if Niger State is looking green, you know, then we are ready to work. We are ready to produce. We are ready to encourage ourselves to improve from where we used to be, from dryness to at least green. And if we are to all go green, it means something good is coming out of us. And if Niger State is green, it's extended to Abuja, because Abuja is not far from Niger State. And once you are in Niger State, I feel we are also in Abuja. So feel free to come. We have a lot of potentials also in Niger State. And I want to tell you, women and youth are his own priority. Even in appointment, he gave women 30% of his cabinet. So he doesn't joke. So women, we are mothers. We are what? Sisters. We are everything that I think the nation, the state, the local government should not play with us. Once you have a woman in a place, just be assured that things will be changed for better. Women, I thought you should clap for this. And Niger State, in fact, has given that priority. Niger State is not joking with anything women and youth especially. And he wants to put the youth into engagement. He doesn't want to see the youth roaming about that like it used to be. Niger State, we have wildlife. We have land that we can farm. We have land that we can cultivate to do many things, even trees. So he has encouraged us to work much on that. And by this, that's why I said, sir, we're ready to work with you, to collaborate with you, to work hand in hand with you. And any of you investors, you are willing to work, Niger State is open. Because we have people out of the country that came to show, to indicate their own interest. And that's why I said very soon, Niger State is going to go green all over. Thank you very much. Sorry for coming late. Any other
One more time, shall we please give a befitting round of applause? She's done so well to market Niger State, and I think it's applaudable if everyone should say good things to give good values to their locality. One more time, shall we please put our hands together? Madam, I'd pay keen attention to the things you said about Niger State. And I'm a single man. I was thinking Niger State will also give wives. But that was on the lighter note, please. Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our next paper presentation and discussion will be on status and opportunities for MSMEs in Africa under the Guided Trade Initiative. And so I'd like to welcome at this time for this very robust full presentation, Ms. Joyce Letswalo, AFC FAT Secretariat, Ghana. Shall we please give her a very... One more time, I'd like to welcome... Thank you. Shall we please put our hands together for her? Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. Greetings. My name is Joyce Letswalo. I'm from the AFCFTA Secretariat. I just want to firstly start by acknowledging and thanking everyone for attending. We also want to extend our greetings also and regards to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We bring messages from His Excellency, the Secretary General, Mr. Wamkele Mene, all the way from Accra. Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for the supporters. I also want to mention also that we work closely with the Nigerian National Coordination Office that is responsible for the African Continental Free Trade Area. So I have my brother there. I will do the presentation, but in order to make it more practical, we have to hear from him what he's been doing to make sure that trade initiative. He's the main guy who has the answers that some of us are looking for. I have a presentation prepared, but I will try to summarize. Initially, in the morning when I came, I brought a beautiful video. That video, we will leave it with the organizers. They can distribute it. It's talking about the AFCFTA, the beginning of the Guided Trade Initiative, as well as its future. So I'll just go straight to talk about the Guided Trade Initiative and where we are at the moment. Just a brief background in this case to say the AFCFTA agreement has been implemented, and the official date for trading has been marked as 1st January 2021. So this is just a road of showing we have that provisions and some guidelines that allowed us to be where we are today. In terms of the ministerial directive within the AFCFTA, allowing that trade should happen for countries that are ready to do so. So there was a need to have a solution-based approach to say, what do we do? We've been negotiating phase 1 protocols that include protocol on goods and protocol on services. We still have some protocols that are coming for phase 2 that include a protocol on digital trade and a protocol on women and youth in trade. So this is just to say, for those products that are categorized as 90%, they are on category A. There's been a phase down for those products. For the countries that we categorize as LDCs, those phasing out will happen over 10 years from the 1st of January 2021. And those that are categorized as non-LDCs, it will be a period of 5 years. So I just want to quickly go to the background of the initiative itself. The Guided Trade Initiative has the objectives, and the main ones is to demonstrate that the agreement is ready. The systems are ready at national level. Also to test the readiness of the private sector. We are happy to be here because this is part of the objectives of the Guided Trade Initiative, and to also look at what other initiatives that are required in the future to make sure that trading is not only for one day, but there's a sustainable implementation of the AFCFTA. I also want to recall that for the year 2023, the African Union has pronounced acceleration of implementing the AFCFTA agreement as its theme. So the work that we've been doing is in line and also in support of accelerating implementation. Some of the activities and the roadmap, it includes also B2B connections. We work with the Manufacturers Association, Chamber of Commerce, and all of this work is handled under the Guided Trade Initiative main committee. It's a committee that is comprised of all stakeholders that are involved in trading. For example, you will find that there's a customs official who's involved when a product leaves Kenya and comes to Nigeria. In this committee, we have all of those stakeholders involved. The official is able to track the product when it leaves Kenya up until it reaches Nigeria, and if there's a problem or a challenge, we are immediately brought into that, and we are able to sort it out, because this initiative is in support of ensuring that the agreement works perfectly, and then the agreement can be something that will benefit the continent. So I was just mentioning the activities. Last week we were in Kigali at the institutional meetings of the protocol, implementing this protocol on trading goods, where we were also given the mandate to say continue and revise the roadmap and make sure it is in line with the 2024 objectives. So we received the mandate from the member states. Some of the work that we've done since October 2022, that was when the launch of the Guided Trade Initiative happened. We've been able to grow the number of countries that are participating from 7 to over 31. Last week, Eswatini mentioned that they also want to be part of the Guided Trade Initiative. So the last meeting of the committee that I was referring to was held on the 19th of September this year. The action points that we've identified since implementation of the Guided Trade Initiative started include that we need to have a way of aligning and coordination, because that is key for each and every country, region, and also for the whole continent. So coordination is key. That's why I mentioned Mr. Olutayo earlier, who is the AFCFTA National Coordination Officer for Nigeria. So coordination is key. Challenges came with regard to logistics and capabilities for small-scale traders. And then we presented that within the institutions, and we were told, please let the Secretariat and Member States expand the Guided Trade Initiative. So the Guided Trade Initiative has been expanded this year because we received also the mandate. But we learned some lessons from previous implementation, that there can never be a replacement for implementing the agreement. Governments, state parties, member states remain key. And also there won't be any role that can substitute what the private sector is supposed to do. all these measures are able to make sure there are rules in terms of trading. But the key players in this case is the private sector. We also learned that there are products that can be sourced within the continent. Because we went through the regions, we were able to collect the information. We know which country has a private sector dealing with which products, and we are able to connect those. So we will show later, but we have imports and exports that can happen within the continent. We also learned that the need for aggregation, especially for small-scale traders, they have some specialized way of dealing with producing, manufacturing, and so on. So it will be a great deal to have a function that is undertaken, that is maybe on logistics, warehousing, financing, research, and that can be done by trade aggregators and leave business people to do what they do best. So it's one of the lessons that came about. So expansion is both in terms of increasing the number of participating state parties, also the product coverage, and the establishment of trading companies. As I speak, there have been some work that we've been doing, and at the next Intra-Africa Trade Fair, there will be more work that some trading companies that were already in existence and the new ones are working together, connecting with each other to make sure that they take advantage of the AFCFTA. I'll give an example of a trading company in Namibia which has been dealing with making sure trading in meat is in a position to say, I'm willing to expand the services and I can partner with Ghana. As I speak, they are working and sending meat to Ghana, and they will expand and work with other trading companies in the region. So this year we've done some work within the Secretariat, and then we did that as regions. So we divided the work into 6 regions, whereby we were able to group the countries, and then we also included the island states because we needed to give attention to those island states that might be dealing mostly with services as well as fisheries. The stakeholder engagements that we have done this year, we have went to the East Africa, we went also to the Southern Africa, and we also went to some of the states in the West Africa. So the Nigeria route was also done, and my colleague will just add on regarding the outcome of the engagements that happened in Nigeria. We have some more countries and regions that we will visit before the end of this year, in line with the roadmap and the work program that I mentioned that has been implemented, and we got the mandate to continue with guided trade initiative. Yes, I was mentioning earlier the theme for 2023. This is acceleration of implementation of the AFCFTA. In terms of the region, this is how the regions and the countries that are participating in the guided trade initiatives are. You can see East Africa, Central Africa, North Africa, Southern Africa, Western Africa, as well as the islands. Invitation has been sent to say more countries should join, because the work that we're doing as the Secretariat is member states driven, and when we come to support, including the initiative on guided trade, is in support of all the initiatives that's been in place in the respective countries, be it the engagements with their traders, preparing them for trading, certifying their products. They are the ones who know which companies are ready to trade, and they provide the necessary support as they do normally when they go to the trade fair. So we work closely with the member states and the state parties in this initiative. Some key highlights for this year. From last year, we started with 7 countries, and some trade in more than 100 products happened. And then this year, we had 2 countries earlier in May which issued their first certificate of origin under the AFCFTA. And this is Tunisia and the United Republic of Tanzania. These are the products that we've been able to collect information when we went on the missions, and then we're looking forward to having a bigger list that is will be online, so that all the stakeholders can have access and know what's happening in the continent. So when we go to the regions, we also visit the factories, the companies, and get their products, understand what they do, get their website, get their even the brochures, information that will make somebody in Rwanda who's producing essential oils know that I need shea butter from Ghana and I need a packaging material from my neighbor. So that information, we put it together, and it will be part of what we put on the AFCFTA portal that will be launched very soon. Yes, those engagements, we went to more than 26 companies in the 3 regions, and as I was mentioning, Nigeria is also involved, and there's more. This is just a summary of the companies that we visited since we started the guided trade initiative this year. This is just for this year. It doesn't include from last year. Here we were just looking at implementation, because once the countries start implementing the agreement, you have to have a way of knowing how far they are. Some are ready, some are not yet ready. So in terms of complying, having what we call a checklist includes items such as, does the country have a tariff schedule for the 90% I was mentioning? Have they have that approved and endorsed at summit level, and it can be part of the traders? So these are the countries that have already issued the certificate of origin. They complied with all those requirements, and we were able to go as the Secretariat and other member states to touch their products, to say they have tea, they exported, this is the certificate of origin. So we have proof to show that these countries have already started trading. You see on the next slide where we have Nigeria is there, is almost there. And my brother was telling me, any day from now, we will issue the first certificate of origin for Nigeria. Yes, so Nigeria is almost there. We have other countries where we're still providing technical assistance, and soon we will have all 55 member states involved in trading, which is our goal, to make sure that we provide all the support we can. These are the countries that still lag behind, but we will get there. And the issue also of trading companies, as I said, there's a need to make sure that we have those companies that are importing and exporting, and they will have the necessary aggregator that will ensure that they leverage on the economies of scale. Also on trading companies, this is not really a new concept. It's been there, but you find that in some countries, either the companies closed, they remain dormant, and it was something that the national policies and regulation may be guided differently. So it can either be establishing those companies or reviving them, but we had to make sure that it will be in line with where the continent is going. So that's why they need to have those trading companies. And there's also a lot of support for the trading companies from Afrexim Bank, which is one of the partners of the AFCFTA. Yes, this is just a summary to also highlight on the topic of today in terms of the small and medium scale enterprises and smallholder farmers. I heard earlier the talk about agriculture. So if there's a way of saying in terms of volume and productivity, how do we increase intra-Africa trade? The trading companies are our solution. There's also a program that is also in the African Union that is talking about boosting intra-Africa trade. So the SMEs are very important and are very key in implementation and economic development of the continent. Yes, this is the way forward, and this we got from the member states themselves. The state parties told us they will do more work on national coordination. AFCFTA Secretariat in Accra all the time will be keeping in touch with the officials in the respective countries, because they'll be working and making sure that all their states, all the regions are ready to implement the AFCFTA. There's another issue in terms of the tariff schedules. That's what we call the provisional schedules of tariff concessions, and then that's more work that needs to be done when we offer them technical assistance to finalize their offers. Some of the other key I just mentioned here is just to say that there's more work at national level that needs to be done. And as a secretariat, there's a study that was done, and there's a way of saying how do we support each and every state party in ensuring that they have customs authorities represented, they have business associations represented, they have the relevant stakeholders all represented in their national coordination offices. There are also importance of national systems in terms of gazetting. Gazetting and domestication of the schedule is important, because when the customs officials clear the goods, it should be in the system. So once you sign the agreement, you finalize your schedule, you need to domesticate. And the same way you want to export to other countries, there's a need to also import if all of us as the continent are to develop. There are also issue of information dissemination and opportunities. This is part of it. And then also my colleague is telling me they've been doing more work in terms of the AFCFTA information dissemination. There's some operational tools that I will share today where you will be able to get more information and support. Now, this brings me to the part that I like so much, dealing with economic operators. There's a need to have local trade and investment agencies involved and other stakeholders that are involved in the whole import and export processes. There's also the need for networking, collaboration, and partnerships. This is what we see already today. So my wish for Nigeria is to continue from here and grow into leaps and bounds to ensure that there's those collaboration, and they can also now collaborate with their neighbors, other regions, and even specific countries. If a country already has a relationship, maybe Nigeria has a relationship with Egypt, there's a lot that they can do in terms of trading to avoid just trading in the Western Africa region. There's also the need for information gathering and also ensure that we equip our importers, our businesses, how to even understand what is a tariff schedule, how does it work, what are the rules of origin, what other compliance requirements are required. Because it might be the issue of testing. Mama earlier was talking about the issue of the medicine. If compliance is one of the issues, what is needed? Are there any development partners that can come in and assist? We have the European Union Trade Assistance Facility, which is extended to specific companies that they can, even either state party or not state company, they can apply to get that assistance. It comes from being able to have the information and know where to submit your application as a country through the National Coordination Office so that you can get the assistance. Some of the issues I won't mention again, because it's better to start talking about opportunities, because I understand some of the issues have already been raised, and we are all aware. So I will just skip and go straight to the opportunities that come under implementation of the AFCFTA and the Guided Trade Initiative. If you can just skip and go to the slide on opportunities. Yes, on opportunities we have for SMEs in terms of promotion of intra-Africa trade. This is also encouraged because if the AFCFTA work is linked to the AUC, we are the organ of the Union Commission. So we are building on what has been done. We are not reinventing the wheel. So this is part of the objective of promotion of intra-Africa trade. There's also the issue of market access. I'm speaking about market access now for goods, but we also have services that has been upgraded to have a guided trade initiative on services. The reduced tariffs, yes, but the tariffs sometimes they go together with the non-tariff barriers. So if we are reducing the tariffs, we should be able to also lessen and eliminate non-tariff barriers. The simplified rules of origin. How do you make sure your product will remain from Nigeria, even if you use inputs from other countries or regions in the continent? You will find the rules of origin. We have a book, the manual is on our website. It's part of the operational tools that we will be sharing. Trade facilitation, we're looking at also harmonizing standards. Why do we need to duplicate? Why do we need to block each other? As a continent, we need to be able to work with each other. So my colleague in the Secretariat is dealing with non-tariff measures. It includes also harmonizing the standards. One standard should not be different because you are from another region. So the AFCFTA will make sure those are harmonized. Capacity building. If it means that it's done within the country or in the region, we have the means, partners, we have African Bank, we have UNDP. There's so many of them that come on board, and also they are linked to the topic under discussion. They are able to provide the technical assistance on top of what the Secretariat itself is providing to the member states. We have done some work throughout the continent, Central Africa, East Africa, where they put together the specialists and then they offer this. The same can be done also for the relevant importers and exporters. If we have a platform to provide them with information, to train them, we train them so that they can train others. We become the ambassadors of the AFCFTA. The same way all of us are in the building today to make sure when here, we are the ambassadors of the AFCFTA. When you go to the shop now, you'll be reading, is this product produced in the continent? That is the information that we need to be able to capacitate both the economic operators and consumers to make sure that we put Africa first. We work with other continents, it's a good thing. But we learn, and we're also looking at the political situations that are coming. We need to have our own food. What is the best way of continuing to make sure we have rice in the continent? Then we can be self-sufficient. So we do that, and we also encourage networking collaboration where we support, where we are needed to come and support if there's an event or if there's an initiative where private sector is coming together from various regions, where we might need to be part of their national initiative to say we've been training 100 entrepreneurs. So come Secretariat, come the region, come ECOWAS, come the National Coordination Office. We are able to be there and be the catalyst for those collaborations and networking. Yes, part of the Guided Trade Initiative, while it is support of implementing the AFCFTA, is not a standalone item. So now and then we have an event where we showcase, we allow private sector that been trading or that they have the potential to trade to showcase their products, and that will happen within the margins of the Intra-Africa Trade Fair that is in Egypt in November, and also within the Business Forum, which has since been renamed to Biashara Africa. It's happening in Kigali, Rwanda in May 2024. We also encourage B2B, even the mission exhibitions. As I speak, Kenya and Ghana, they've collaborated. They've opened a trade house in Kenya, part of the guided trade initiative. There's more that's coming. And we're also saying, please, also we need Nigeria to be on board. We need Nigeria to be in the leadership. We are doing those work through using the National Coordination Office to collect companies that have both the potential or already trading that can actively participate at the event. It's an ongoing process, and my brother will make the list that we should be able to know which companies need to be showcased at the next Biashara Africa event. We also have a special program whereby with the support of His Excellency, he'll be able to go out and ask our partners to support the companies, the SMEs, to participate at the Guided Trade Initiative and the AFCFTA-related events that are coming. Any event where we can, we leverage, we make sure that we take the member states and their companies on board. Just in conclusion, the tariff offers that include the HS codes, description, amount of duties to be paid, they are publicly available and they are on the website. We have what we call the e-tariff book, which you can access to find out how much is a bottle of water when you export it to Namibia. When you export it, all the products that were categorized as 90% are considered as finalized. So we have those schedules available and they are technically verified. So far we have 42 state parties, soon to be 44, because last week at the meeting we had 2 recommendations for Comoros and Malawi to be included as part of those countries that their schedules were adopted. So very soon at the next summit we will have those 2 endorsed, and then they will form part of the Guided Trade Initiative, and also the AFCFTA countries that are ready to trade with each other. There's also the role of National Coordination Office. I will mention this and also repeat because the locals are the ones who know best what's happening in their yard. So we work closely, and it's also part of the summit decision. It was agreed at higher level in 2018 that each and every AFCFTA member state should establish AFCFTA National Coordination or Implementing Committee. So it's just for implementation. We remain very critical in implementation. There will be the IATF in November to advance our work. There's also templates of shipments that we provide to member states and their businesses and associations to say any country or any business that is ready, they can complete that template and share with us. We will be able to make sure that those products are highlighted, and the other side where they are receiving imports, they are aware that this is a shipment that is coming, and if there are problems, they can assist. Of course, as a public sector, international public office, we are not really involved in the day-to-day business issues. We are there to coordinate and facilitate. We normally leave the business people to do their own contracts, to agree on the Incoterms. Yes, we are not involved in the Incoterms, but we are involved to make sure that the smooth movement of products through the whole process until they reach the consumer. So those templates can be completed both us copied or sent directly to also the national office in Nigeria, and we will be able to get that information using that website. So in concluding, SMEs, they are very powerful. They can close the country if they want, because you will know from the statistics. Big companies normally, in terms of job creation, all the other, they are a bit delayed, but the SMEs are the key. So we need to be able to know that we are capable, we will be able to promote intra-Africa trade, and Africa is ready. And we will have also more work to do on the regional value chains. I will share that quick slides on that one, then I can pause and allow my colleague. So it's very important that the stakeholders, all of them work together, associations, big or small, region and all over. Even with the support from outside the continent, we really appreciate. But Africa is ready, so let's take out our space. These are the operational tools I was referring to. This support implementation of the agreement. I have left some websites that can also be clicked, where you'll get more information on these operational tools that will ensure that we all realize the opportunities that come with the AFCFTA. Regional value chains, just a quick one, as I asked through MC and the leaders of the event. I will also ask my colleague to come and say specific things that they are doing in terms of those opportunities. And then the regional value chains I was referring to, there's more work that's happening, and this is the agreement itself. So my advice is that the first thing when you go to the AFCFTA website, you can get hold of the agreement, the main text, find some of the information. We are trying to make it operational to make sure that it's practical. So those four were prioritized as the first set. Is agriculture and agro-processing, automotives, pharmaceuticals, and then the last one is transport and logistics. First phase, but there will be more that are coming in the future that include specifics, horticulture, textiles, financial services, telecommunication, and the IT. So with that, I would like to say thank you very much for your attention. I will pause here. If I can ask my colleague a few minutes, he will say something. So when we leave as a secretariat, we go to Accra. We know that we left all of you in great hands. And make sure you knock. You knock at his door, you email him, you call him. If there's an issue of capacity, he will let us know if he can handle it. But he's the right person that needs to say something about Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Just before he speaks, he's supposed to be on the next panel. So for the want of time, I'd rather you be seated. And as the panel will proceed, you can add or throw more light, so you can save us a whole lot of time. So just be seated. We have Mr. Olusegun from the AFCFTA Nigeria. I welcome you. Let me welcome the moderator for this session. I'd like to welcome Dr. Nura Bello, Zonal Vice President, Northwest Nigeria Association of Small and Medium Enterprise. I welcome you. So, Madam, we'll have him to speak during the presentation, so it saves us a whole lot of time. Let me also welcome, to join us on this other end of the divide, Mrs. Kufon J. Arrow, Deputy Director, Small and Medium Enterprise Finance from Nigerian Export Promotion Council. I welcome you. Can we please put our hands together for her? And also to join us here, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome the Honorable Commissioner, Micro, Small and Medium Enterprise, Niger State. I'd like to welcome Honorable Elizabeth Shaba to please join us on this other end of the divide. And also, to join us on this other end of the divide, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, is a very magnificent gentleman. I'd like to welcome Collins Osage Omokaro to please join us here. He's with the UNIDO ITPO Nigeria, Senior Investment and Technology Promotion Expert. I welcome you. May I request that we really keep this panel very short. After this panel, we will have a few persons who will entertain a few questions, and then we'll hear from Smidan, and it's going to bring us to the end of today. So may I hand over to the moderator? But moderator, I'd rather you start with the man from after to just throw more light.
All right, good afternoon to you all. We are actually discussing a very important topic that is going to shape the business landscape in Africa. It has been on, and it involves about 55 countries in Africa, and is a very strategic and important trade policy in Africa. But there are a lot of challenges, but I just want to explain to maybe for the SMEs, maybe in a very simple term, what is the meaning of Africa Free Continental Trade Agreement. What it means is that, you know, our borders, a lot of countries close their borders and they have certain products that they will not allow into their countries. The essence is to protect their industries in those countries against competition, so that those small-scale industries in their countries, they can actually prosper. And that is why some countries in Africa, they are actually food dragging. They don't want, even though it's there, but it's a conflict between national interest and the ambition of Africa to actually have a common market. So that conflict, and that's why you can see up to now Nigeria has not qualified. If you recall, in the last administration, there was total ban of so many products. Our borders were closed, and it actually, you know, helped so many industries. Maybe like rice milling companies came up, and so many other industries. Now the borders have been opened, and people are asking, what will be the effect of opening these borders vis-a-vis the kind of industries we have, you know, established during the closure of the borders. And it has created jobs. It has created wealth for our people. Now, with after, does it mean that, you know, these industries are going to die, or what will happen to them? So my first question will be to the man that is in charge of AFTA for Nigeria. My question to you is, looking at the private sector, maybe some of our SMEs, they are having difficulty in maybe accessing finance in Nigeria, maybe to mass produce for export. And looking at maybe quality control, branding, certifications, maybe in terms of, let's say, NAFDAC registration, SON, those kind of standardization that were not there. Do you think Nigeria is really prepared for this after? If our borders are open today, do you think Nigerians or SMEs will sell more of their products in Africa? Or is it that maybe it's going to be a porous border, more products of other African countries will find their way into the Nigerian markets, and thereby affecting our businesses? That's my question.
Thank you very much, my brother, the moderator for this panel. First and foremost, I bring greetings from my principal, the Executive Secretary of the National Action Committee on AFCFTA. That is the coordination office for AFCFTA in Nigeria. Mr. Olusegun Awolowo. Interestingly, I also share a beautiful name with him. My name is Olusegun Olutayo. So that will be my first submission. Secondly, I think we need to begin to clear some misconceptions. AFCFTA is an opportunity. It is not something that we should be afraid of. It is something that we should embrace with two hands. Now, why am I saying that? And I'm going to throw back to the audience and anyone that wants to context this narrative I'm going to give. And then before I give that narrative, I'm going to beg, because I'm pressed for time. Perhaps I may not be able to be all through this panel, because I have been receiving heavy phone call to be at another meeting at the villa. All right. Why we must not be afraid of AFCFTA? Here is a question. Why do we see China or Chinese everywhere? Why? Thank you, sir. I'm coming to that. Why is it that China wants a market in Africa? Why? Why is it China wants a market penetration in Europe? Why? For some of us that travel very well, there is no continent that you will not see China product, China person. Why? If China is all over with what my brother said, 1.3 billion population, then what are we talking about? Nigeria is just 200 million, or maybe above 200 million. But a country of 1.3 billion, they are still interested in another market and also opening up their market. So I don't think we should have any phobia for AFCFTA. The question is, how do we take advantage of AFCFTA? How do we ensure SMEs products enter the market of AFCFTA? How do we ensure our women and our youth take advantage of AFCFTA? This will be our focus. The other side of thinking, opening up the market, they are going to... Yesterday I was in Lagos and somebody was dumping. I said, no, you are misunderstanding this issue. What you are called dumping is not even dumping. It's a two different thing. If you are talking of substandard, yes, I can understand. But when you are talking about dumping, that's another ball game entirely. So all SMEs that are here, or maybe you are online and you are hearing my voice, I want to encourage you. I want to say it emphatically that AFCFTA is an opportunity. We should not look it from another perspective, but we should be ready to embrace it with open hand. The second thing I'm going to say is that on GTI, like my colleague from the Secretariat in Ghana has rightly said, Nigeria now, and you can take this as a takeaway, we are at the verge of joining the GTI. The only thing that remains is to issue the first certificate of origin. And in the next few weeks, you are going to see the headline, you are going to see the news that Nigeria issue the first certificate of origin. Every single process that we ought to have done technically, administratively, we have taken that step. Tomorrow morning, I will be at the Nigerian Customs Service because they are the DCA. What is DCA? Article 20 of Annex on Trade in Goods says every country must have a designated competent authority, whereas they are to issue the certificate of origin and then put the stamp and then put the signature. The three companies that show keen interest, and let me say this, out of those three, 2 are actually MSMEs. So it's to tell you that you have opportunity. The product for now, I'm going to silence about it, but you are going to have all those details in a matter of weeks. So I will be with the custom tomorrow, or let me say the DCA, because I like to use the language of the agreement. I will be engaging with them, and then we are going to be finalizing on the certificate of origin that will be given to these businesses that have showed interest to trade under the GTI. And once that is done, the deal is already settled. We can easily see Nigeria has joined the GTI. So if you are looking at it on the scale of 10, maybe we can say Nigeria has scored 9/10. If you are saying on the scale of 100, you can be saying Nigeria has scored 90/100. And I think we should clap for that.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much. But if maybe I may just chip in based on what he said. Actually, China, maybe anywhere you go, you see Chinese products. But you cannot compare that maybe with Nigerian economy today or our business people. If you look at China, it's highly advanced, and that is why you see their products maybe all over. But Nigeria, you see many of the goods that are produced, they are local, they are not standard, and maybe in terms of branding, maybe they cannot be compared with Chinese product, and that's why Chinese product will always have their way into Nigerian markets. So, but Nigerian products, it may be difficult to enter into or compete favorably maybe with Chinese products. So if we are looking at trade in terms of maybe development, these are some of the challenges that Nigeria maybe we need to actually wake up in collaboration with government and some other agencies.
A quick one, my brother, just to add to it. I think I might be wearing a different cap, meaning I think I'm going to disagree on that assertion. Now, the China product you are referring to, for some of us that we are a little bit advanced in age, I remember very well, there was a time when my father, bless his memory, bought a product. And then what we heard was that it is a Taiwan product. It's fake. It is a Korean product. It's fake. It was a China product. It's fake. But over the year, they perfected it. Over the year, they work at it. Over the year, they normalized the standard. And then that is why they were able to advance in the packaging, in the technology, and in the manufacturing of their product. So we don't have anything to fear. Let us start from somewhere. Like I just told you now, 2 of the company that are going to trade under the GTI, they are SMEs. Their product meet the standard of the country that they are going to trade with. So please, in as much we have these challenges, I'm an optimist. There is no challenge that is not surmountable. But we need to have a mindset that these challenges in terms of our standard, in terms of our packaging, in terms of the X standard of NAFDAC or SON, we need to see how we are going to meet it in the context of other countries in Africa. My colleague just said that we are working on what we call harmonizations of standard, so that when your product goes to Kenya or Rwanda, they will not reject it. These are process. Okay. These are things that will not happen within one day. But if we keep the mindset, if we keep the focus, I reiterated that AFCFTA is an opportunity. It is not a bane for Nigeria. It is not a bane for SME, but it is for SMEs to take advantage of this trade agreement. I thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Now, my question goes to Mr. Collins UNIDO. My question is, how is UNIDO assisting Nigeria in getting certification to join other countries to qualify in terms of maybe regulatory framework, in terms of maybe capacity building for our SMEs, or any other way that UNIDO can assist Nigeria in making this a seamless process?
Thank you so much for the question. I think first I would like to add to what Mr. Oleshegun has said with regards to AFCFTA. One thing that is very important that you must realize is AFCFTA is a demand synthesizing tool. That's what I call it, because let's use a typical example. Nigeria is a member of ECOWAS, 15 countries, 300, 400 million people. Now we are now given the opportunity to sell to 1.3, 1.4 billion people. That's clearly a demand you need to be competitive to sell to. That's an opportunity for bigger market access. That's an opportunity to bring on the table quality product that can get the right financing. That's an opportunity for you to network. So the opportunities are so huge that you can't just put it in a box to say that there are challenges. There are challenges in every continent, in every sphere you look at it, regardless of the implementing structure you want to adopt. Now, going back to UNIDO, for us, we are very, very conscious and key partners for the implementation of AFCFTA. One of the key elements that I believe is funding. I've always believed that funding is the key enabler to whatever you want to implement, whatever strategy you want to implement, and they are one of the key pillars of business sustainability. Business origination, leadership, relationship management, the operational efficiency or innovation. Funding and funding mix become very, very determined heavily by the funding source and the funding partner that you work with. Our goal is to essentially work with MSMEs to first look at your structure, your governance structure, looking at how viable your business product or services look like, and how that becomes attractive to potential investors or partners. What we do is to package those businesses and then put you in a place where you become a beautiful bride for investors. Of course, in a way that we would have cleaned you from the back end, doing all our financial. Beyond that comes with heavy capacity building, which we're also very heavy on. Capacity building in terms of the technical aspect. For MSMEs, again, you have a very huge population that are female-led businesses. And we know how this become a key element of how AFCFTA become very profitable to us. So for women, for example, we are also advocating, working with financial institutions to see that they're able to get funding, because we know a lot of issues around collateralization and how that become a challenge for women. And for us to address that, we need to work with financial institutions that then help to reduce the criteria around funding for these businesses. Because if we neglect that aspect, we are neglecting the value that we'll then get as a country from MSMEs and then by extension AFCFTA. Dumping, like we're talking about, whether dumping or all of that, is around competitiveness. So we're also coming from the area of certification and supporting how businesses help to guide to get on that. So we also help you to clean those first phase that then allow you get those certifications that are required, so you're able to trade across Africa. And of course, that standard is a global standard across Africa, then obviously extending to the world. Because eventually, AFCFTA will go to a level where every other trading blocks want to also be part of what we do. And that's what we are looking at. And the entire goal is, of course, to increase the Africa trade volume and by extension, the prosperity of Africa. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Collins. It means that you are actually doing so much, and we hope you continue in that regard. I will come back to Nigerian Export Promotion Council. You, an agency, is saddled with the responsibility in ensuring that you facilitate international trade or export of non-agricultural products to the outside world. Now, do you think our SMEs are actually ready for this Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement?
Good evening, everybody. I'm from Nigerian Export Promotion Council, and indeed, Nigerian Council is doing a great thing to make sure that SME in the country succeeds. And what they have put in place today is that Nigerian Export Promotion has established export trade house, 5 of them in Africa, 1 in Egypt, in Karod. The second one is in Kenya, Nairobi. The third one is in Togo, Lumi. The fourth one is in Dubai, a United Arab Emirates. And then the 5th one is in China that we are talking about, in Home. And if we can have trade export house in China, fearing that their product is everywhere. Today I want to assure and also remove that fear that Nigeria is going to go to China and we are going to trade and our product will be accepted in that country by God's grace in Jesus' name. And again, another thing is that apart from that, we have established these trade houses. We have what is called domestic export warehouse in all the 6 geopolitical regions in Nigeria. And the purpose of this is that we house all the inspection and facilitating agency that will inspect all these products and make sure that all our product is qualified to be exported. And that is the work of that DUF. And I'm telling you, take your product there, let them look at your product, and if it does not make the standard, they will correct you. And by tomorrow, you go back again, your product is going to make that standard. And Nigerian Export Promotion Council is building capacity for, in fact, because of this, they have created a division in our office called Expo Inclusive. And this Expo Inclusive is made up of women in export, youths, and persons with special needs. And this year alone, we have done a lot of program on youth. Our youth is going to go places. And I'm telling you today, we have G77 Boa Academic in collaboration with Niger Guard Brigades Barracks. And we have had the 1st edition and 2nd edition. And 5 European countries came to the country to view our boys play. And today I'm telling you that 25 of them have been selected. And are signing the email to go to Abana for their skills. And once that is done, it's going to increase our foreign exchange. Because these players, they are going to play in that country, they are going to repatriate whatever they make from that country back to this country, and it's going to enhance our foreign exchange. And again, within the year, women in export They have invited ITC 3 times into this country. One, to have a training on what is called Canvas. And that Canvas, they train our women on how they are going to advertise their products, how they are going to package their products, how they are going to label their country and their product, and also how they are going to market their products. The second one came for packaging, to teach our women on how to package their products. Our women are trying, but what we found out is that their packaging, some of them are poor. And today, Nigerian women are better off. Even as I'm talking, they are concluding one training in Lagos today. All still on packaging. And for the persons with special needs, actually they're supposed to have launched their own program. But because of one program of the other they have known, by the time they launch that program, I'm telling you, persons with special needs, they are going to be identified with their special skills that they need to work on, that can be exported from the country. And today, not only that Nigerian Export Promotion Council established those houses, they do, but also on AFTA, they are working very hard to make sure that they build capacity for our SMEs so they can make the standard, so that they also start. And I want to encourage us today. There are products that Nigeria have comparative advantage. Why can't we work on those products? Work on the one that you know that your product is needed in those countries, and you will see tomorrow will be everywhere. From those ones we have comparative advantage, we will move on to those ones that we don't have and break through.
Okay, madam.
There is not cause for alarm.
All right.
So I want to encourage us that we can do more. Don't fear China. China is human being like you. They have the same hair with you, 2 eyes, nose, and skills. So we can do that also in
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Madam, I think I can see that NEPC, you are well prepared. Yeah, I can see the passion and the drive in her, and as the representative of the ED, Nigeria Export Promotion Council. Madam, thank you so much for the insight. I think with the export trade houses that you have established in these other countries that you mentioned, and I'm aware that Dubai Export Trade House is actually coming on board. It has been established, and as we speak, they are still collecting samples that will be displayed at the Export Trade House in Dubai, which is due to be commissioned by His Excellency, the President of Nigeria, Asuwaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu, between the 24th of November to 5th of December. I think within that period, it will be commissioned. So thank you so much. Then, Honorable Commissioner from Niger State, thank you so much for finding a way to come here. But I want to tell you that there is an SME here that has been doing business in Niger State, and she has been exporting kuli kuli, which is one of your main comparative advantage from Niger. She's one of our SMEs here in Abuja, and she buy or gets her kuli kuli from Niger, but it finds its way into United States and is actually in high demand. Please, Madam Tina, if you can stand up for recognition, please stand up. You can see her over there. She has been buying from Niger State. She has been doing, and your kuli kuli, if you are not aware, has been finding its way to United States and to UK and some other countries. She does that every day, and she has a stand. Maybe when you go out, you go and see the kind of kuli kuli and how kuli kuli is really well packaged for export. You know, she actually has a standard. Thank you. So looking at what people are doing, or the kind of export that we want to do, how is government supporting SMEs that will be exporting these products to other countries in Africa?
Thank you very much, moderator. I'm from Niger State.
Bring it closer.
I'm from Niger State. Like I earlier told you, the governor is willing. And that's why I said Niger State is becoming green, and it will become green because of the zeal he has for Niger State to grow. Yes, I wish to commend our sister, who is the exporter of kuli-kuli. Not only kuli-kuli, sir. Even shea butter. I want to tell you we are doing very good in shea butter. And many people come to take our shea butter and they tag it, either made, maybe because of, let me use the word, packaging, which in fact we had seminars, we had conference not long within this week. That's why I said this program came at the right time. Most of our women or those interested in this business, their problem is packaging. Packaging, exposure, encouragement, and funding. I think that's the main problem. But all the same, and capacity building. Once our women or our youth are encouraged in this aspect, I'm telling you very soon, she's taking her kuli-kuli to, is it Africa? America. Very soon you go wild in taking, and many women are into this. It's not, maybe you only know her. In Niger State, there are many women and youth into this business to other states, and from other states they export it to other countries as well. But I want to stress more, sir, on this shea butter. Shea butter is gaining ground in the country and in the states as well. But the problem is that they come either to exploit our own women, they collect this and go to maybe package it well, export it. But very soon, I think our women too are being educated. And we're trying to encourage them, just like I told you, on packaging, exposure, and encouragement and funding. Once our women are encouraged, or our youth are encouraged in this aspect, and I think very soon we are going to improve on that. We are not left out of that, sir. And the government, sir, I'm saying it with a clear, and I'm saying it widely, that the governor of Niger State, Mohammed Bago, is ready to support those interested into this street, sir.
All right. Thank you so much, madam. I think on this final note, what I want to say is that to the SMEs out there, after AFC FTA, it has come to stay, and Nigeria has signed that agreement, is going to be part of it. There's no two way about it. My advice to you is that you should prepare. Start your export now. Get your export license from NEPC. Now get trained, package your product well, get NAFDAC and SON certification, and ensure that you get a very good packaging. Start now before the agreement starts. It means that if you are prepared, that's what is called luck. But if you are not prepared until when it comes, it means that you are going to be left behind. I want to use this medium to appeal to SMEDAN as the representative of the DG. This issue is something that SMEDAN should look at. I want to see how SMEDAN, NEPC, and Bank of Industry as a financer, because most of these SMEs, they cannot actually process these agro-allied products without you. We cannot really industrialize without Bank of Industry. So we want you to come in to see how you can support our SMEs in preparation for this after, so that you can buy them equipment, give them working capital. Let's prepare ourselves. Funding shouldn't be an issue at this time. And then for UNIDO, you have always been a partner. Let us all work together with ECOWAS, as well as SMEs that are here. Please tell others that are not here that it has come to stay. On this final note, I want to say thank you so much. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is proper for us to have questions, but I think it's also not very fair. Considering the length of time we stayed, we have one more presentation so we can go for our meal. So let's keep our questions for tomorrow, please. So photographers. We understand your concern as regards questions. We are way behind schedule. Guests are hungry. We must take our last presentation. All right. Can I make a suggestion? Can I make a suggestion? Once we go for a meal, you can engage these ones and ask your questions, please. Once we go for a meal, engage them and ask questions, please. Thank you very much. Again, it will be nice for me to begin to allot time to the next speaker, but I really wish you will understand with us and really keep it so simple. Thank you very much. Thank you. Please, can we exit the stage for the next lecture, please? Can we exit the stage for the next, please? Time is fast spent. There will be no need taking more time again, please. Can we just stay back on our seats? Please, after this photograph, can we all exit the stage? Thank you very much. No, this is enough, please. Photographers, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, photographers. That's enough. Thank you very much. Photographers, that's enough, please. Please, coming from the MC, that's enough, please. Let's take our next lecture. Let's take our next lecture, please. Thank you. Can we please leave the stage for the next presenter? I beg you, please. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, presentation on building resilience through digital transformation is the Director General of SMEDAN, Mr. Charles Odi, who was here in the capacity of the Honorable Minister of Industry, Trade and Investments. And then in his instance, a very senior officer of the Ministry of the Parastatal will be presenting on his behalf. Allow me therefore to welcome Monday Evans, Director, Enterprise Development and Promotion of the Small and Medium Enterprise Development Agency of Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to request you pay attention. He's been here so early, waited so patiently. I'd like to apologize for eating into your time. I'd like to welcome you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Time is fast spent, so I don't intend.
Thank you. Please, I'd like to request we take our seats very nicely. Just as we've listened to your presentation, do well to listen to others present, please. Can we just be seated for a moment, please? Thank you.
Thank you so much. My Director General was a whisk away on short notice. That's why he's not available now to deliver the speech. And like I said, it's just a very short presentation, and I'm not going to take more than 5-10 minutes. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, he's expected to talk about building resilience through digital transformation in Nigeria. And of course, the voice you are hearing this evening is the voice of my Director General. I am here today as the DG of SMEDAN to share my thoughts on building resilience through digital transformation in Nigeria. This is a conversation that brings together the economic aspirations of our nation with the pivotal role played by SMEDAN in partnership with key institutions and stakeholders to empower our MSMEs through access to finance, training, and technological tools. In Nigeria, the nano, micro, small, and medium enterprises subsector is the lifeblood of our economy, representing over 90% of businesses and contributing significantly to our GDP. As you may recall, as at the last count during the last National MSME Survey conducted by SMEDAN and the National Bureau of Statistics, we discovered that about 39.6 million MSMEs, contributing about 46.31% to GDP and also 6.21% to exports. With almost these 40 million MSMEs operating across the nation, it provides employment opportunities for our people, our growing population, and remains the heartbeat of innovation. But as the world evolves, so must we also evolve. Digital tools have become essential in empowering SMEs to deal with disruptions and fierce competition. Over the past few years, the world has been dealing with unprecedented economic challenges, from the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic to global conflicts and supply chain issues, amongst others. These global events have sent shockwaves through our local economies, impacting businesses of all sizes negatively. In addition, changing consumer preferences and the rapid emergence of new market entrants have publicly reshaped the competitive landscape. It's clear that in this fast-paced and ever-changing business environment, our MSMEs need to adapt, evolve, and seize the opportunities that digital transformation offers. Digital technology can play a pivotal role in managing these challenges, particularly by enhancing product quality, reducing production costs, and expanding the customer base. Some MSMEs who recognize this potential list their products on marketplaces created by technical solution providers like Flutterwave and Paystack, gaining visibility and boosting sales in the process. In the education sector, innovative startups have transformed traditional classroom learning into an e-learning revolution. Companies like Andela and edtech platforms like ULesson have not only made quality education more accessible, but have also created a wave of skilled professionals ready for the digital job market. The digital transformation MSMEs need go beyond just accessing finance and gaining knowledge. It entails a cultural shift. We can't be afraid to embrace technological tools. The world has shown us that the possibilities are limitless. From e-commerce to fintech, data analytics to artificial intelligence, these tools can elevate our MSMEs to unprecedented heights. We are working towards making Nigeria, towards a Nigeria where a small business in a remote area of Kano can sell its products globally, where the artisan in Lagos can market their craft internationally. But for this transformation to be inclusive and sustainable, we need to bridge the digital divide by allowing telcos and internet service providers to provide affordable and reliable internet access and data plans to MSMEs. SMEDAN also plans to facilitate digital literacy programs across the country so that every MSME can harness the power of technology. Of course, at current, we run what we call the MSME Digital Academy. In conclusion, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, building resilience through digital transformation is not an option. It is a necessity. Our MSMEs are the backbone of our economy, and they must be prepared for the challenges of a rapidly changing world. Thank you so much. Did I do 10 minutes?
Thank you very much. Sir, I must commend your gestures. Not minding the amount of time you had to wait, but then you've kept it within a very summarized ambit to allow us to leave early. One more time, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to appreciate all of us. I request that we give ourselves a round of applause, please. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this would bring us to the formal close for today's for today. It's going to bring us to the formal close. We'll continue tomorrow and we'll proceed for our lunch. I don't know if I should call it lunch, but then we'll go for refreshment. Now, please, for refreshment, there are a few other events outside. Please do not go to their food stand. We'll be using the garden. So when you go this way, there is an exit there just by your right. There's a garden. Provisions have been made for us to use for our refreshments. So ladies and gentlemen, let me thank all of you and say, please come early tomorrow. On our part, we'll start very early so we can leave early as well. Thank you very much for coming. I think we have tags. Let me just get the information correctly, please. All right, this is what we'll do. If we go now as a group, I think we all can we just know ourselves. So we can now go out, whether you have a tag or not. If we go as a group, we'll be attended to. So thank you very much. Please come early tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be starting up very early, same as next tomorrow. So thank you very much. We'd like to say thank you. Thank you, Dr. Yerima, again. Tomorrow night. I've really announced that, but let me take it in. 9 o'clock tomorrow is our start time. 9 o'clock. Can we please, those of you without tags, I would rather you go now. Tomorrow 9 a.m. we are starting. Call off time 9 a.m. tomorrow. 9 a.m. tomorrow. Thank you very much.